and see why your car is worth more on the Motor Mile. Plus, with more inventory arriving daily, now is the time to shop the Motor Mile. Sheeler owns the finance company and makes getting approved for credit simple and easy on the Motor Mile. Flexible financing options for every budget to get you on the road fast. Experience the Motor Mile at 3 convenient locations: Christiansburg, Radford, and Pulaski. For over 50 years, we've got Southwest Virginia covered. The all-new Motor Mile Chevrolet and Buick in Radford. Certified friendly staff. No games, no gimmicks. Call 866-SHEELER1. Always open at MotorMileChevroletBuick.com.
The clock is ticking. Time is running out for Virginia citizens to purchase modern sporting rifles and magazines from Big Boys Guns. Beat the July 1st deadline. Right now, the selection is robust at Big Boys Guns. ARs, AKs, and the most popular handguns will soon be banned from sale in the state of Virginia. Don't wait. Visit Big Boys Guns before the inventory is gone and not allowed to return. Shop 24/7 at BigBoysGuns.com and in store on Route 460 in Blue Ridge.
Plenty of large insurance companies know something. If you're injured in an auto accident, it can feel overwhelming. They've defended themselves in thousands of personal injury cases while you've never been there. Thankfully, I have. Hi, I'm Dustin Rosser with Trost Law. I began my legal career defending insurance companies before joining Trost Law. I know how insurance companies think and how to navigate the complex legal system. So if you're injured and need someone to fight for you, just call me at 777-HURT and visit trostlaw.com.
You're stepping into the fast lane on the VTRN Sports app. 93.3 FM and 1320 AM Lynchburg, or by asking Alexa or Google Home, open VTRN Sports Lynchburg. Now, take the fast lane through the topics that matter across the Commonwealth. This is the Fast Lane with Ed Lane.
This one's different from the one that happened about a month and a half ago or thereabouts. This departure from Virginia that was unexpected with Lars Tiffany, the men's lacrosse coach at Virginia, does not feature 24 plus hours after the announcement any kind of inside info from Inside Lax, which is one of the big lacrosse publications, or great Virginia reporters that we have. JerryRatcliffe.com. We asked him about it yesterday here in the Fast Lane. If you want to listen to what he had to say,
and guess what? We keep receipts.
Fast Lane, Ed Lane, where you listen to podcasts. Even our guy, David Teal, Hall of Fame columnist, who will join us around 5:30 today. I've not seen a well thought out, in-depth, research-based article at dailypress.com, although maybe there's one coming with more information and details because he is thorough in this as well. And please forgive me for just a moment. I got to get my usher on. I don't know all of the other lacrosse sites that would be the equivalent of On3 in women's basketball with Talia Goodman, who was joining Jerry Ratcliffe and getting to the bottom of why Coach Mox was dismissed from Virginia women's basketball, whereas nobody's really brought up what's happened with Lars Tiffany, other than that everyone is confirmed that he's out as the men's lacrosse coach, to the point where former support staff members have gone to social media and backed it up, which means, they and Tiffany have probably conferred, and therefore the information has been further validated and verified. I get it. Athletic director Carla Williams has become a punching bag, and people need to give credit where it's due. They might have downgraded from Brian O'Connor in Mississippi State, who, when I last checked, I think they were the 4th best favored to win the College World Series, that you'll be able to hear throughout its entirety on the VTRN Sports app. But it wasn't like they made a major downgrade, even though they did not close the season well, with Chris Pollard, Amherst County native and former Duke Blue Devil baseball coach. Virginia will play at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, I believe, against the aforementioned Duke Blue Devils in the ACC baseball tournament. Correct me if I'm wrong. Fast Lane, Ed Lane, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Trey giving me the thumbs up. I'll trust him. He's our college baseball guy here at the Virginia Talk Radio Network. So, which, by the way, speaking of college baseball, no show tomorrow because we have Virginia Tech baseball as they'll take on either Notre Dame or Clemson.
Maybe not on Thursday, right? Just if they win, we don't have a show Thursday.
We would not have one on Friday. They don't play Thursday. They will play Friday.
Yeah, they have off day. Yeah, got it.
It's okay. And then they would play Saturday and Sunday. You would also hear those games on the VTRN Sports app, and any NCAA tournament baseball games. Whenever that schedule comes out, we will keep you updated as that unfolds. And yes, it might throw a wrinkle into some of our Faith Fridays scheduling. We may do some of those on Thursdays just to keep you updated. However, back to the point at hand. Well, might as well.
After Ed's potentially unnecessary detour, let's get back on the road in the fast lane.
So Carla Williams has done what seems like a really good job with the number of hires. I still think you probably want to see more out of Tony Elliott, but Trey and I praise the fact that while Tony Elliott was extended with a contract a few weeks ago, it wasn't an egregious contract with an egregious buyout where you're left wondering, how did Jimmy Sexton pull that off? Kalen DeBoer, Alabama, where it's like, wait a second, they got waxed by Indiana in the playoff. He's falling short of Nick Saban, but somehow Jimmy Sexton swindled Alabama into increasing his contract and making it more cumbersome for them to move on from somebody that they don't want. Tip your cap to Carla Williams in that regard. Tip your cap to the fact that it looks like they got it right with men's basketball and Ryan Odom, and have the funds in place to have retained pretty much every key contributor off of this past year's team. Like, there does need to be a level of hat tipping that's going on for her. If all the information that JerryRatcliffe.com founder Hootie Ratcliffe and Talia Goodman of On3 have reported, and they are well sourced, I don't doubt that it's accurate, but if all that's true about Coach Moxon's women's basketball program and a toxic culture, and 10 of the 12 players were looking to enter the transfer portal this offseason, and then Aaron Roussel gets a number of them to come back, including Mo Johnson, probably the biggest key of those returnees, and she spurned South Carolina, although I kind of wonder if Dawn Staley maybe have given the nudge to her old university rather than undercutting them. But it looks like they're in a good spot with women's basketball. So you look, as critical as we've been of Carla Williams, she's doing some things right within Virginia athletics. But when things like this happen, you don't have to provide all the information and details. I would suggest that if I'm advising Carla Williams at Virginia athletics, I know I'll use quotes that people around there have used for me, do things differently on grounds. If I were her, I'd get in the car and come down and chat with Ian McCall at Liberty University. Because we went through a spell back when Ian McCall departed from Baylor, and then the stories came out. I forget the name of the lady who wrote the book about what happened under Art Briles and Ian McCall at Baylor. And we asked about that. We asked about the legal situations that unfolded. And at no point did Ian McCall ever dodge us at the Virginia Talk Radio Network or interviews. And we've asked him about that in other circumstances. And we even told them beforehand, look, we're going to ask him about it. We're not going to beat him over the head, but we are going to bring it up because it is something that people want to know. And we brought that up knowing that there's a high likelihood that he was going to no comment, defer to lawyers, or offer a statement. And he's opened up a little bit more about that. And truthfully, everything that happened at Baylor, he's the athletic director. It happened under his watch. You've got to, you're in position of authority. It comes with criticism when things go wrong. But by multiple people who've told it to me, that was much more of an Art Briles problem, the culture at Baylor. And he had so much power.
Lots of power.
That it was he who basically kept a lot of the problematic characters around the football program during that tenure. But Ian McCall learned how to handle it. And that's where Carla Williams could benefit from hearing from someone like that about how to handle uncomfortable situations. I'll use the same analogy with we in the Virginia media. I think people would get more aggressive in pushing for something out of Carla Williams now because we continue to not get explanations of what transpired with Coach Mox's departure or what transpired most recently with Lars Tiffany's departure from men's lacrosse. If nothing else, include in a statement something. We should have some kind of statement that's come out confirming this. And it could be a blanket comment in a statement. You can get asked about it and provide some overview information. This is where it's on somebody around Carla Williams. If she's uncomfortable, then employ somebody that can assist with media relations to give some blanket bullet point answers that provide enough of an answer without having to go into full detail. Because newsflash here in the fast lane, and I would offer the same news to what's happened at North Carolina with, yes, our guy, but criticize him, Michael Lombardi and Bill Belichick. How they have treated the local media as though they're an annoyance. I get that to an extent. They are also providing free advertising and connecting with some of your most diehard fans, and therefore people that are going to be in positions to complement your largest donations by providing more
dollar bills, y'all.
And consistent
dollar bills, y'all.
That can build upon your success. You want more people contributing. Think Iptay at Clemson. I Pay 10 a year, which was their thing back in the day. And I know Dabo Swinney doesn't use it with the transfer portal, but whenever they get a coach in there to replace him that actually cares about it, I think Clemson will be back to being a power in sports. And big part of the reason why is that initiative and the connecting with the fans of IPTAY, I Pay 10 a year, where a bunch of people pay at least $10 a year, and they often pay more, but it gets people in the habit of giving. That's the same thing with Virginia in this extent. You need those people. You need to connect with them. You need to provide some kind of an explanation. It does not have to be every single bit of detail and information. You're not going to provide that. It can be after the fact and once you reach your conclusion. But to his ever-loving credit, Trey and other people at Virginia Tech will bag on Whit Babcock, the outgoing athletic director in Blacksburg. But he put himself out there a number of times, even when he was going to be the critic of a lot of people, including we in the media. And if you're uncomfortable with it, all I will say is this. In this day and age, connecting with the fans through multiple platforms, it's your job. You are paid plenty of
dollar bills, y'all.
and to whom more
Dollar bills, y'all.
and more
Lots of power.
are given, then it is in your duty to put yourself out there and connect with people in some form. I know it may not be your strong suit, but it can't be an overt weakness. You have to find a way to work through that. And that's the shame of it is Carla Williams and Virginia Athletics are doing a lot of things right now. They deserve to be commended and praised for it. But not putting yourself out there in a lot of circumstances is a real challenge. When they had the tragedy on grounds with Devin Chandler, Deshaun Perry, and Lavelle Davis Jr., doing a round table tour of interviews during that offseason. It's not that you want to continue to relive painful moments, but that's where you could have easily gone into the, we really love and support all of our programs. We are so proud of how things have gone. That's softball season right there. And you miss that opportunity and more in the future. And how you connect with additional supporters. Virginia's got a lot of big financial supporters. And to Carla Williams and their administrative credit at Virginia, they are tapping into it to the point where they can field competitive football programs. They looked a lot different on the field last year, results-wise and just stature-wise, seeing them compared to prior years. They look like they have finally gotten to the modern era of basketball, and Tony Bennett did a lot of good things, but Ryan Odom needed to get them with the times. He looks like he's done that. They're doing it in a lot of areas. So take some victory laps. Yes, you don't have to brag all the time, but put yourself out there enough. Even if it's once a year where you do your summer roundtable tours and say, that's what I'm going to do all day. I'll answer questions accordingly. Put yourself out there. Whit Babcock's done interviews with David Teal. He's done them. DailyPress.com, even in recent months. Brent Pry, who was fired at Virginia Tech and retained, has done them. There's no reason if you're trying to connect with fans and you're Virginia, you shouldn't be doing this as well, because otherwise it puts people in a position where they speculate recklessly, where there's more of a mystery, and therefore misinformation can get out. Instead of reacting, be proactive. Put yourself out there. You don't have to provide all the info, but if you can provide enough information of what happened, what you're looking for in a coach, things that matter, people might be able to connect the dots elsewhere, and you can refrain from going further into that. But inevitably, people are going to dig. Jerry Ratcliffe and Talia Goodman did end up digging to figure out essentially what happened with Coach Mox's departure at Virginia. And yet, even when they introduced Aaron Roussel from Richmond to Virginia as the new women's basketball coach, what are we doing? You can sit here and just say, look, we're here to celebrate Aaron Roussel, but we do need to acknowledge that part of the reason this happened is Coach Mox did not uphold the standards that we expect out of a Virginia women's basketball program. I don't want to get into those out of respect for our program, but that's the reason why we made the change. And you can take additional questions. You can continue to repeat the same line of, hey, I don't want to get into details, but Coach Mox did not uphold the standards that we expect for Virginia women's basketball, and reiterating that. You're at least putting yourself out there and providing something. When you full no commented, people then start digging to figure out what happened, and you don't control the narrative. It's not the exact same, but it's a similar thing of reacting, think Vrabel and Rossini, and what's going on there. You don't want to be in a reactionary position. You want to be in a proactive position where you're controlling the narrative and conversation to a large extent and degree. And remember, the same thing that Belichick and Lombardi at Carolina have failed to grasp is the same thing that I kind of wonder if Carla Williams of Virginia has failed to grasp, which is this is not the vicious, cutthroat, Northeastern, New York, Philly, Boston, Chicago media markets. This is much more like the Midwest or Southern markets in the sense of you'll get some hard questions, but people will more likely give you the benefit of the doubt, and they're certainly not looking for hit pieces that are going to put you in a precarious spot. So why tempt them with that? Meanwhile, some people just can't resist the temptation of one too many drinks and making the poor decision of getting behind the wheel this upcoming summer celebratory season. TroastLaw.com wants to remind you, if you plan to consume, whether you're at a wedding, Trey's got celebrations coming up, TJ just had his, Ty maybe in the future, fingers crossed. We don't know if it'll happen, but if it does soon, we love Ty and Kaya. Just remind yourself, have a rideshare service plan, have a designated driver. TroastLaw.com does not want to be fielding a call from anybody on any end of this type of situation. Yes, they have experience handling those as they have done since 1982 and
not one, not two, not three, not four,
but over 4 decades. But they don't want to have to see you for that particular reason. They don't want to have to see you for any reason at Trost Law. But if you're in a situation where somebody has made the poor decision to get behind the wheel and operate a motor vehicle and something unfortunate has happened, that is where Trost Law can help at 777-HURT. Now, other things, unfortunate for the game of tennis, men's tennis in particular, to kick off.
It's time for Fast Five at 5-ish. 5-ish minutes on 5 relevant topics done around 5 p.m.-ish. Ish, because our counting skills are kinda ish. Let's start with number 5.
Carlos Alcaraz, the world number 2, effectively. The one player that could challenge Jannik Sinner. It ain't happening at Roland Garros. We will preview that with our chief vibes guy, Drew Dinsick of NBC Sports, this coming Thursday in the Fast Lane around 5:45. But he's also not going to be participating in Wimbledon, unfortunately. By the way, the sportsbooks reacted a lot faster to this development today. I may or may not have, again, to get my usher on for a second, dropped a little bit on Jannik Sinner a day or two ago when Alcaraz put the letter out about missing and the progress being good but not being close to coming out. And I got Sinner at even money to win Wimbledon. Because as soon as this news came out, he went from 1-to-1 odds or minus 110, where you have to bet $110 to win 100. Now, all of a sudden, it's closer to minus 280 or minus 300. You would have to bet $280 or $300 to win 100. So the value has gotten sucked out of it. I would go a step further. If there's no Jannik Sinner, is there the possibility Sinner wins one or both of these tournaments without dropping a set? Like, what have we seen from anybody on tour that is going to lead us to believe that they are going to challenge Jannik Sinner? I'm not saying he's going to win both without dropping a set, but is it possible he wins one of them without dropping a set, given how ruthlessly efficient he is? Unlike Alcaraz, who has his staring out the clouds moments where he kind of gets distracted and all of a sudden it becomes a 5-setter where Carlos pulls it out because he ultimately wakes up and turns the focus on. Sinner's got it from the get-go, and he is just dismantling people. Now he's added a drop shot. His serve looks more lethal than it has. He's gotten more stable. His forehand still his better shot, but more stable on the backhand, and he's got the wingspan of tennis's version of Victor Wembanyama. More on that in a moment. In terms of at the net, where it's almost impossible to get something around him. Where, I mean, you look at that, it's really hard-pressed to believe outside of a force of God, which could happen knowing how I have put some money on Sinner to win French and Wimbledon at better odds than you can get them now. You know, I could see it happening just because of that. But assuming God doesn't get involved and try to send me a message, what happens? How does this not end with Jannik Sinner winning both of the next 2 Grand Slams? And by the way, getting an asterisk next to both of them, given the lack of real challengers right now, which is really unfortunate for the men's game because at least the women's game's got a lot of viable ones. The men's right now, it is one-way traffic pretty much anywhere else. Meanwhile,
Number 4.
Yes. He's at it again, Trey. Where there's a Will, there's a Wade. See what I did there? My guy, Will Wade. Please tell me you saw what happened today and are just saving it for the morning warm-up tomorrow.
RJ Lucas, yes.
Yes, RJ Lewis, the former St. John's All-American. Lewis, R-L-U-I-S. RJ Lewis. Lewis.
Okay, well, same thing. He played
whatever. He has played pro basketball. Here's the deal. He entered the transfer portal, but kept his name in the NBA draft. He went undrafted. He signed a two-way deal with the Utah Jazz, was traded to the Boston Celtics, and eventually waived. Never mind that. Where there's a Will, there's a Wade. Instead of where there's a Will, there's a Wade. Where there's a will, there's a way. And Will Wade is going to try to go the route of finding a way to get RJ Lewis eligible for LSU, where even though he should not be eligible, this is going to get turned over to a Louisiana judge. And we probably know how this is going to end in the great, not-so-corrupt state of Louisiana. Oh, yes. I mean, there are programs out there, and then there's LSU. If you want to make fun of Miami Hurricanes for what they may or may not have done in years past, this is on an even more different level with everything they have going on at their particular program. Rather amusing. Meanwhile, other nuggets, including
Number 3.
Liberty Flames men's basketball. They will participate Thanksgiving weekend in Wilmington, North Carolina, in the 3rd annual Live Oak Holiday Classic held at UNC Wilmington. It will also feature Princeton and St. Thomas, famed school because they had a player transfer to Virginia at the end of the Tony Bennett era. Princeton's an NCAA caliber team. Wilmington is as well. So is St. Thomas. These are all like-minded schools that are trying to find ways to play each other. I'm going to curse for a second here in the fast lane, but I hope that if you're going to expand the tournament to 76 teams, which is going to happen, that you get more times where an NC State, who to their credit with Will Wade, has played Liberty. And LSU, the same thing. They're going to play High Point. To Will Wade's ever-loving credit, he is going to do that. I would love to see more of the big boys play these type of schools, if nothing more than the fact that you get prepared for them in the NCAA tournament so you're not caught off guard in a way that High Point was able to do to Wisconsin, or that VCU did to North Carolina. They hope to rectify it with Hubert Davis being replaced by Michael Malone. But in essence, I would love to see that happen, even if I am doubtful that it actually will. Meanwhile,
Number 2.
a topic we'll discuss with David Teal of DailyPress.com in just a moment is Jim Phillips coming out and saying that ESPN does not want to expand past 16 teams for the upcoming college football playoff. Well, of course they don't. If they do, you're probably going to scrap conference championship games, and the biggest money-generating one of all of those is the SEC championship game. And while you may not know where you can find it on TV because you listen on your home for the best play-by-play, the VTRN Sports app at 93.3 FM, it is an ESPN and ABC property, as is the ACC championship game, and at times the Big 12 title game has been that as well. Meanwhile, if you expand beyond 16 to 24 teams, you probably are going to have to add in another network or two for these properties. And the college football playoff will get opened up to more bidders. Honestly, it's probably better for the power programs if there are more bidders. It probably gets you closer to a Super League and really gauging the market of how that will look going forward. I do think we will eventually get there, but I'm not surprised ESPN does not want that in the short term. How is my cynicism going to gauge? David Teal will chime in a moment, but
Number 1.
just found this nugget to be a little bit interesting. 62% of Division II football recruits enter the transfer portal and did not find a home, and 79% of Division III did not as well. When you get that low, oftentimes there's a reason why you were not recruited by the big boys. Maybe you lack ideal measurables, height, weight, athleticism. Maybe it's the speed measurables. Maybe it's other things that factor in. But it's not a surprise that only a small percentage of those end up finding their way up, and the majority of them do not actually end up finding a home. That nugget, according to Expo Recruits. Meanwhile, when we return to the Fast Lane, David Teal will weigh in on all of this when we return here in the Fast Lane and on the VTRN Sports app and Fast Lane Ed Lane, where you listen to podcasts in case you've missed anything.
If you need a new or pre-owned vehicle, but prior credit issues have you worried, see Magic City Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram today. We can help. Bad credit, no credit, first-time buyer, or even if you just want to change what you're driving now, we're here to get you approved. See us now and start driving the new car or truck you deserve. When it comes to financing, go with Magic City Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. We're here to help. Magic City Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, 1750 Independence Boulevard in Bedford, MagicCityBedford.com.
The clock is ticking. Time is running out for Virginia citizens to purchase modern sporting rifles and magazines from Big Boys Guns. Beat the July 1st deadline. Right now, the selection is robust at Big Boys Guns. ARs, AKs, and the most popular handguns will soon be banned from sale in the state of Virginia. Don't wait. Visit Big Boys Guns before the inventory is gone and not allowed to return. Shop 24/7 at BigBoysGuns.com and in store on Route 460 in Blue Ridge.
Hi, I'm Al Billingsley, a board member with CASA of Central Virginia. Children who have experienced abuse or neglect often enter foster care feeling scared, confused, and alone. That's where CASA volunteers step in. We stand behind these children to make sure that their voices are heard in court. CASA is looking for caring adults from our community to serve as volunteer advocates. And as a man, I can tell you we're especially in need more men to step up for these kids. If you're ready to make a difference, learn more at cvcasa.org.
Rain takes a toll on your house, including your chimney. Even when it's not raining, prolonged humidity impacts your chimney. Don't wait for the problem to enter your house. Call Black Goose Chimney Service. Featuring decades worth of experience, Black Goose Chimney Service will assess what your chimney needs and give you honest answers. Because the longer you wait, the worse it gets. Get ahead of the problem. Call Black Goose Chimney Service and visit blackgoose.net.
Midday hunger hitting you hard? Swing by Macadoo's for our $8.95 weekday lunch specials. Whether you're craving a classic crunch or something fresh, we've got you covered. Chicken tender basket featuring crispy golden tenders served with fries. The Macadoo's Chef Salad, a healthy, loaded favorite that will hit the spot. Hit back against your lunchtime hunger at Macadoo's with eats that won't break the bank.
Time to share great food and fun. Just to be there the only one. Just to be there at Macadoo's.
We'll see you at the Goose.
Spring means green lawns, open windows, and afternoons spent outdoors. At Brownstone Properties, you'll find homes with private yards, with locations near scenic walking trails, or beautiful local parks, perfect for family picnics or peaceful strolls. This season, find your place to grow. Start today at brownstoneproperties.com or call 434-385-1025. Brownstone Properties, where home is at the heart of everything we do.
What if counseling services were just a click away? With secure, confidential telehealth sessions through Central Virginia Counseling, you can connect from wherever you feel most comfortable, anywhere in Virginia. No commute, no waiting rooms, just personalized care designed to meet you where you are. Support is closer than you think. Start your journey today on your terms. Visit centralvirginiacounseling.com to get started.
Step into the Fast Lane 24/7 at Trey Lyle VT and Fast Lane Ed Lane on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, back to the Fast Lane.
So once again, here in the Fast Lane, I have to get my usher on and confess that I have not seen at by David Teal on Twitter, or I wasn't able to find it if it's there at dailypress.com, an article with more insight into what transpired with the departure of Lars Tiffany as the UVA men's lacrosse coach. I haven't seen much of it anywhere, and we didn't get a lot of explanation, although there was some good reporting that was done on the departure of Coach Mox for Virginia women's basketball. So somebody who's kind of been on this with us as well, of thinking people maybe need to provide more of an explanation, David Teal, Hall of Fame columnist at dailypress.com. He is the one who is in charge of the By David Teal handle on Twitter. David, welcome back into the Fast Lane. I pray you, Mrs. Teal, and Tiny Teal are all well and gearing up for a fun and hopefully exciting trip-filled summer as you guys get to explore a lot of the great nature that appears to be out there in the great Big Sky country.
We are doing exactly that, Ed. Hope you and yours are well also.
We are well. I've got 2 7.5, almost 8-year-old boys, so twin sanity is rampant in our house. Tons of energy, and Summer's wondering how are we going to burn through all of that energy every single day.
God bless and Godspeed.
I appreciate it, as does my much better half, Mead. David, we have been talking about this for a while, and it's not something that we in the Fast Lane bring up all the time, but whenever there's some kind of abrupt coaching change at Virginia and no explanation that is ever provided, it's the almost unfortunate but recurring storyline of where is the explanation? Why is that the case or not the case? How much could Virginia do wonders by providing clarity as opposed to waiting for someone to do the digging or speculate recklessly as to how Lars Tiffany, wildly successful Virginia men's lacrosse coach, now no longer is going to be retained?
Transparency is not how Virginia rolls under Carla Williams. So I think to wish otherwise is probably a fool's errand.
Why is there no transparency under Carla Williams?
It's just, that's her nature, even in good times. I mean, have you ever seen in a large media setting, or even one-on-one interviews, or it is very rare. And unless she knows it is a very friendly audience, perhaps from ACC Network, when it's going to be all softball questions, she just doesn't want to engage, even in conversations that aren't necessarily on the record, where you just might want her insight or opinion on the issues of the day. That is just not her deal. And you talk to people around the ACC, all of them are impressed by her intellect and how she engages with people in conference meetings. She and Whit Babcock are very friendly, even though rivals. And that's just Carla's nature.
We talked about this at the beginning of the Fast Lane, and if our listeners missed it, Fast Lane, Ed Lane, wherever you listen to podcasts. David, it may not be the big donors because Carla Williams seemingly has done a really good job connecting with them and resourcing their programs, for the majority of them at least, for Virginia athletics. But I use the IPTAY analogy at Clemson, the I pay 10 a year theory, where they've done a great job years ago establishing that. You could argue Dabo Swinney hasn't fully capitalized on it with not using the portal, but that's a different topic. But they've got the IPTAY theory, and it gets the casual, everyday alum, fan, supporter also contributing. Are they the people that Virginia is missing out on by not having more transparency of what's going on?
Maybe, Ed. You mentioned fundraising and drumming up support. That could well be among the roots of Lars Tiffany's departure. I don't think we on the outside understand the fundraising demands on Olympic coaches these days, because all of the money is going, in terms of revenue, department revenue, is essentially going to football and men's basketball. And the other coaches are kind of out there on an island, left to fend for themselves, be it through straight fundraising, be it through endowments. Virginia won a seventh men's tennis national championship over the weekend. I did a story a year ago with Andreas Pedroso, the Cavaliers' longtime coach. I think he's been there now 9 seasons. And he has some donors who have started an endowment fund. And he talked about how invaluable that engagement is. And people in Virginia remarked to me how good Andreas is at engaging with those donors. So I think it's really hard. It's really time consuming. And, maybe Coach Tiffany and Carla came to an impasse when it came to support or lack thereof. If so, I don't know why you just don't say it. Agree to disagree, and off you go. But that's not the Virginia way these days.
Does that make the Virginia lacrosse job less desirable if that's the case? Or are most coaches going to find that this is the reality at almost all non-revenue generating programs, with some exceptions here and there?
You're talking about a program that's won 2 national championships under Tiffany, that just won the ACC tournament emphatically. The only team to beat Notre Dame this season, and did so twice. I think there will be plenty of interested coaches in UVA men's lacrosse.
David Teal with us here from dailypress.com. He's at By David Teal. We are at Fast Lane, Ed Lane on our socials, and he's stopping by with us here in the Fast Lane. David, you've mentioned all of that. The other side of this is, how much is, or you mentioned Carla Williams, but how much is she missing an opportunity where, first of all, I think this is also a fatal flaw from the hubris down in North Carolina, but misinterpreting the media around here. This is not, whether, no offense to you or to us, but we are not New York, Boston, Philly, where it's just ruthlessly looking for hit pieces. Do people misinterpret that if you just have some kind of connection with the media, even if it's not fully transparent about what's going on, it can do wonders. Whereas in a larger area, how the media is perceived and realistically does their job is just different from around here.
Take one look at Virginia men's basketball under Ryan Odom. You talk about somebody who gets it now and engages with the media and is friendly and is welcoming. He got it from his daddy, from when his dad was a head coach at Wake Forest and at South Carolina. And I think, yes, you're preaching to the choir. It can work wonders for a program, for an athletics department, to engage with knuckleheads such as us. Again, and you're absolutely right. We are not Boston. We are not Philadelphia. We're not throwing snowballs at Santa Claus. All we're asking for is a little give and take. And at least at the top at Virginia, that's hard to come by.
Now, you did mention that with Virginia men's basketball, and back on May 15th, your piece dropped at pilotonline.com and dailypress.com as David Teel is with us here in the Fast Lane and stopping by with us here to discuss that. The link is up at by David Teel on Twitter as well, and that is Ryan Odom. They did a great job with roster retention. They seemingly have gone bargain hunting. I would imagine there's probably some tie into the fact that they did such a strong job retaining their roster. They were not going to be the biggest spenders in the transfer portal.
Oh, correct. Ed, what Virginia did is unheard of these days. The Cavaliers returned all 7 of their scholarship players with eligibility remaining. That's amazing. And that speaks to the experience that they had last season. I think it speaks to the determination to do better next year. The loss to Tennessee up in Philadelphia still stings with those guys, and they wanted to run it back. Now, are they going to be handsomely compensated for running it back? Heck yeah. But they might have been even more handsomely compensated elsewhere. But they chose to remain in Charlottesville, which is a testament to the program. And I'm not sure that bargain hunting is the proper word with UVA in the portal. Ryan Odom knows he and his staff know what they want in the portal, and they know where to find it. They're very particular about the programs that they take kids from. I call them kids. That's a bad word these days. Players from. And you look at Arkansas State, where Christian Harmon came from, coached by Ryan Pannone. Ryan Odom really respects Pannone because of his NBA and G League background and the way he runs offense. The same is with St. Louis and Josh Schertz, from where they got Kalu Anya. And then his good buddy, Russ Turner, out at UC Irvine. They landed Devin Tillis from UCI. A year ago, he was an invaluable part of the team chemistry that works so well. And now they've got Jurian Dixon coming in from Cal Irvine. So those are the kinds of programs that I think you're going to see UVA to take transfers from.
David Teel with us in the Fast Lane. David, I did have a chance and have had a chance to listen to plenty of your Talking with Teel podcast from our friends over at TechSideline.com. Since then, Ethan Copeland joined the list of commits for Virginia men's basketball. I know a week or two ago, you guys discussed the quote that came out on the Field of 68 about $20 to $25 million for a lot of these higher end rosters. How much of what Virginia Tech is taking in men's basketball is based upon not having that budget, but more of a stagnant budget because the majority of the oxygen, financially speaking, is being sucked up by football?
Oh, it's more than just the oxygen financially being sucked up by football. James Franklin has created quite a buzz in Blacksburg. And yes, with Babcock, in what was essentially his exit interview with Damian Sorlett and Mark Berman and Andy Bitter and I, talked about how Mike Young needs more help with athlete compensation, with the payroll. And right now, Virginia Tech isn't able to provide that. And therefore, you see a Christian Gerdak who loved Virginia Tech and whom Mike Young offered as a high school freshman. You see him go off to Rutgers, where they have more cash. And Neo Abdallas, it didn't work last season, but would Mike Young have liked to give it another whirl with Neo at a reasonable price? Yes. Could he match North Carolina's offer? No, not a chance. So off he went. That's the price of being the men's basketball coach at such a football-centric school.
David Teel stopping by with us in the Fast Lane. David, of course, you also had the real arduous task of going down to Amelia Island for the ACC football meetings over the last couple of weeks. And Jim Phillips relaying that ESPN does not want to expand past 16 teams in the college football playoff, but it seems like the majority of the ACC would prefer to expand to 24. How inevitable is it that we get to that? Because inevitably, there's more money to be had by expanding, and if more money is to be had, that's ultimately where this all is driven and ends up.
I don't know that it's inevitable on either count, Ed. I don't know that 24 is inevitable because I don't know that it's inevitable that the 24 drives enough revenue to make up for the conference championship games that would go away. And that is a primary reason that SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, who along with Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti, holds all the high cards here because they have veto power over all CFP format changes. Sankey is resistant to this. And that's what's going to make SEC spring meetings next week down in Destin, Florida, absolutely fascinating.
They really are. It'll be exciting. What do you expect to come out of that?
I have no idea. I'm not tapped in to the SEC. There are SEC coaches who are totally on board with 24. That's not surprising. Coaches want access. We've seen Tennessee AD, Danny White, come out in favor of 24. We've seen the Alabama athletic director, Greg Burns, say it's time for conference championship games to go away. When the athletic director of your leading football brand is saying something like that, I've got to believe it carries weight in the room. Question then becomes, what do the presidents think? And the presidents are going to be the one who make the final call.
David Teel, we appreciate you making the call or taking the call from us to come into the Fast Lane today. Thank you for your time. As always, we appreciate the transparency. Love keeping up with your work at By David Teel, dailypress.com, and listening when you join our friends at Tech Sideline for the Talking with Teel podcast as well.
My pleasure, Ed. You guys be well.
David Teel with us here in the Fast Lane. When we return from that to the Liberty Flames, baseball, Pool B, Conference USA tournament. They'll take on Sam Houston Thursday. In that, we will discuss with John Manson from IsHereRed.com when we return on the VTR in Sports app and ask that smart speaker open VTR in Sports.
Get more on the Sheeler Motor Mile, your trusted dealer serving Southwest Virginia and surrounding areas for over 50 years. With more selection, more value, and more finance options. Plus, your trade is worth more. Shop local and save more with straightforward pricing, plus exceptional service and selection. Your search ends at the Motor Mile. Choose from over 900 quality pre-owned vehicles, plus a massive selection of new car brands in Southwest Virginia. Honda, Hyundai, Toyota, Subaru, Kia, Chevrolet, Mitsubishi, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and now Buick. Plus, the used car superstore. 12 new car brands, 900 used vehicles, one amazing buying experience. Volume selling means volume pricing, and we've got more than any other dealer in the area. The Sheeler Motor Mile delivers choices. Here's the difference. Sheeler owns the finance company and makes getting approved for credit simple and easy on the Motor Mile. Flexible financing options for every budget to get you on the road fast. Get more on the Sheeler Motor Mile with a certified friendly staff and no games, no gimmicks. The Sheeler Motor Mile, now in Christiansburg, Radford, and Pulaski. Call 866-SHEELER1. Always open at Sheeler.com.
Summer, hot, steamy. 3 ingredients for an overheated truck. Overheated trucks is an all too often summer problem for diesel trucks. Don't let it happen to you. Go Wicked. Get your diesel truck service for less at Wicked Diesel in Bedford. Wicked Diesel is offering 20% off AC and cooling system repairs, plus oil change and tire rotation for 20% off. Go to wickeddieselva.com and print out the coupon. Go Wicked. Wicked Diesel, Bedford, Virginia.
When you walk into Haley's, you see the size and selection of a big box store. Over 19,000 square feet of appliances and mattresses. Leading appliances like KitchenAid, Whirlpool, Maytag, Genair, Speed Queen, GE, and Monogram. And mattresses like Sealy, Serta, and Tempur-Pedic. So what's the difference? A family, locally owned business. And a staff committed to servicing you over the entire life of the product. That means before, during, and well after your purchase. Visit Haley's today, just off Ward Road in Lynchburg. Haley's, quality that counts.
Sandstone architecture, melodic music, wonders of the world. They're staples of Egyptian and Mediterranean culture. But you don't have to travel thousands of miles to experience it. Just drive to downtown Cairo. Downtown Cairo brings you food from the entire Mediterranean, blended with the best Egyptian recipes from super fresh ingredients. Staples like $7 euros and build your own Mediterranean bowls. Experience the taste of the Egyptian and Mediterranean world in your own backyard. Downtown Cairo, Graves Mill Shopping Center in Forest.
When your mower is down, your crew is down, and downtime costs money. That's why Miller Built Outdoor Equipment has a sharp focus on commercial turf professionals, Toro commercial mowers, professional handheld equipment, and the service department that understands urgency. If turf is your business, let's build your fleet the right way. Miller Built Outdoor Equipment, built around your turf.
Hey guys, this is Chad Hassan with ASeaofRed.com. ASeaofRed.com is the #1 trusted independent news source for Flames sports. You can get access to premium content such as the Rumor Mill by becoming an ASeaofRed.com club member for only $84 a year. If you are a diehard Liberty Flames fan and want all the inside scoop along with coverage of recruiting and all the major sporting events over at LU, visit ASeaofRed.com. Go Flames.
Step into the Fast Lane 24/7 at Trey Lyle VT and Fast Lane Ed Lane on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, back to the Fast Lane.
Well, I hope and pray that John Manson survived hearing Chad Hassan's voice before we welcome him into the Fast Lane. John, are you there?
I'm here. How's it going, Ed?
I'm great, thank you. How are you? Were you able to survive hearing Chad Hassan bringing his greatness to ASeaofRed.com?
Yeah, I appreciate you guys putting that ad out there, and encourage everybody listening, go out to ASeaofRed.com if you're interested in anything Liberty Flames athletics.
Well, that's part of the reason why we have John Manson in the Fast Lane, because they do great work at ASeaofRed.com. Basketball, we can get to plenty more on them in a bit, but Thanksgiving in Wilmington, North Carolina, Princeton, part of the program down there. Wilmington is in there along with St. Thomas, where Liberty will be spending a couple of days over the Thanksgiving holiday. How much of this is, if you're not going to be able to get a great favorable schedule, create similar type of matchups, because frankly, probably going to be kind of similar to what you see in Conference USA?
Yeah, I mean, this is something we've seen from Coach McKay the past several seasons where, Liberty, hasn't really been able, like many other, really good mid-major programs, hasn't really been able to schedule multiple high major programs. And, it's been no different for the Flames. And getting into an event like that, it's, not a bad trip. It's pretty close by. And it's, 3 of the 4 teams, including Liberty, played in the NIT this past season. So should be some really competitive basketball. And the 4th team that didn't make the NIT this past year is Princeton. And we know the history they have, and I'm sure they'll get back to their winning ways this season.
John Manson from ASeaofRed.com is stopping by with us here in the Fast Lane. John, what is your level of optimism, or I'm going to curse, hope that Liberty will be able to add some more quality games in their schedule now that the NCAA tournament has expanded to 76 teams?
Well, I mean, I'd like to hope that that's the case, but I mean, look at what High Point's been able to do. If you follow college basketball closely, especially, now in the off season. They've been able to put together a pretty solid non-conference schedule, and I'm sure a lot of that has to do with their success here in the last couple of years, and just winning an NCAA tournament game, this past March. But Liberty's was able to secure that home and home with Dayton, so they'll get the Flyers coming into Liberty Arena this coming season. So that'll be a marquee non-conference home game, and that's something that Liberty has struggled to get a lot in the past couple seasons. Obviously, the Flames hosted the Field of 68 showcase event this past season, and mentioning High Point, Liberty gets opens the season against High Point in a neutral site game down in Rock Hill, South Carolina. So that'll be a good game, and a nice game to look forward to kick off the season, or to tip off the season, I guess we should say. But yeah, and Coach McKay has mentioned that Will Wade, who's now at LSU, Liberty's had some conversations with them, could potentially get a game scheduled with them on the books. But yeah, I mean, as we've talked about previously about men's basketball non-conference scheduling is, any, home and aways you can get with, similar programs like at Dayton or other A-10 members, Richmond, VCU, George Mason, that would go a long way in helping beef up the non-conference schedule, because, as we're learning more and more, these high majors don't want to play, what will likely be a quad 2 or quad 3 games. They want to play quad 1, which is a lot of their conference schedule, and then those top high major teams in the non-conference, and then if they're not playing quad 1 games, they want quad 4s just to get easy wins, and what's the word I'm looking for? But kind of make it where their RPI, they work their numbers, not the RPI, but the net now, obviously the new RPI, where they work those numbers to make them more attractive and more appealing to those powers that be that are selecting the NCAA tournament teams. And I, there's been a lot of conversation about the expanded team, but I think it really hurts teams like Liberty moving forward more so than helps them. I mean, Liberty's more likely to end up being able to, getting a 13 seed moving forward is probably the best they can get, rather than, some of the 12 seeds they've had in the past, and including just a couple years ago when they played Oregon in the 12-5 matchup. But I think that's going to hurt them, and I think we'd be fooling ourselves if we think that the committee is going to select more mid-major programs than they have in the past. I mean, those additional at-large spots are still going to go to more likely than not those middling power conference teams that are struggling to be 500 in conference play.
I hate to agree with you, although I like agreeing with you, John, but I hate that on this subject I am agreeing with you, but I firmly am in the same camp that you are in terms of the skepticism about the end results of the expanded NCAA tournament. Am I in the camp as well, where you adjust the seating, you move things around? This may be more of the effort for the bigger programs to just try to get some of the smaller schools, I hate to use this phrase, but out of the way so they can have more big-on-big program matchups and keep more of the revenue for themselves.
Yeah, definitely. And the coaches and the powers that be, talk about it being, how these coaches are judged so harshly, if you want to use that word, by, if they make the NCAA tournament or not. Basically, that's the goal for them to do it. And I honestly don't disagree with expanding the NCAA tournament, because if you look at the number of Division I teams, percentage of Division I teams that are able to play for a national championship at the end of the season, it's a relatively low number percentage-wise, because you've got over 360 some odd Division I programs currently that play men's and women's basketball, and only 68 up until this coming season, get a chance to play for the national championship, which honestly we know how many teams really have a real legitimate shot to win it. But that's the mid-major darlings, your George Mason and VCU runs of the past. That's what college basketball fans love to see. And unfortunately, I think we're just getting further and further away from those happening, not just due to the expansion of the NCAA tournament, but also just to what NIL and transfer portal has done as well. It's really, killing the mid-major. And the story is like High Point from this past year are just going to become more and more uncommon moving forward.
Oh, I would largely agree with that from John Manson from AseaofRed.com, who's been with us in the fast lane. John, we'll kind of, maybe somewhat pivot off that. You expressed your skepticism for the expanded college basketball tournament from 68 to 76 teams. If you're a Liberty fan, are you more encouraged by that? Or are you more encouraged by the concept that if the college football playoff gets to 24 teams, you may have a chance if you have multiple teams, Liberty and others, that are just in the top 25, where you might have a chance of landing one of those at-large bursts. Not that you're likely to get a deep run out of it, but you're part of a smaller, more select group.
For the men's basketball with the expanded tournament?
No, for college. Are you more in favor of a 2014 college football playoff, or are you more in favor of the 76-team men's basketball tournament?
Gotcha. I don't know. It's hard for me to say. Like, I would say that I'm more of a fan of the 2014 college football playoff, but some of those formats and most of the formats that I've seen bandied about are going to be leaving the group of 5 or now the group of 6 out of that. So it's hard for me to get on board with something like that. And I think it's just a matter of time before that happens where, you'll have, more at-large spots. But again, like I was saying a minute ago in the men's basketball side, those are just going to be going to the SEC and Big Ten teams and maybe another Big 12 team here or there. But, they're going to leave out the group of 6. And I think it's just a matter of time before that happens. Right now, the group of 6 is able to hold on to that one automatic bid spot for a conference champion. And unfortunately, obviously we saw James Madison from right up the road was able to benefit from that this past season. Unfortunately, I think that's just a matter of time before that goes away. And maybe they go away from all conference championship winners getting automatic bids, and it's just an all, at-large type of case. But I think, unfortunately, we're quickly moving to where a group of 6 playoff becomes a reality in college football. And as a Liberty alum and Liberty follower, that's something that personally I'm not excited about, because it seems like at that point you kind of, Liberty has moved up from the FCS to the FBS. And basically now, if you have a group of 6 playoff, while it would be fun and exciting and have some excitement to the end of the season for a lot of these top of group of 6 programs, which you would expect Liberty would be in that running many, many years, it would be a lot of fun to go play a Memphis or a USF. But at the same time, the group of 6 at that point in time would virtually just be the new FCS, which Liberty and so many other programs have worked so hard to move up from that level and to be playing at the highest level of college football.
John Manson stopping by the fast lane from AseaofRed.com, W227VG Timberlake, WVGM Lynchburg, WMNA, Gretna, Danville, Southside, and the VTRN Sports app. John, last one for you. Liberty Baseball, 2C Conference USA Baseball Tournament. It's a loaded conference, 3 teams that you legitimately could find and make a compelling case to win this thing. What is your level of optimism that the Flames could be the ones that hoist the trophy and get the automatic berth into the NCAAs?
Yeah, I think you could make an argument that 5 teams have a really good shot of making a run this week. The top 5 in Conference USA kind of separated themselves from the rest of the pack in the league throughout the season. Obviously, Liberty is part of that. Jacksonville State, the regular season champ, and then also Louisiana Tech, who's the 5 seed and in Liberty's pool, who they'll play on Friday morning, as well as Dallas Baptist. We know some of the success they've had in recent seasons. And also Missouri State, a newcomer to the league. Those top 3, Liberty, Missouri State, and Jacksonville State, are pretty close to locks. Liberty may be a little bit of work left to do this week, but locks for regional play. So you're going to see a multi-bid Conference USA, baseball NCAA regional conference, and you could see as many as 3 or even 4 of a Louisiana Tech or Dallas Baptist kind of gets hot and wins the tournament this week. But yeah, for Liberty, I think it comes back to pitching. Like, Conference Pitcher of the Year, Conference USA Pitcher of the Year just announced today, Ben Blair. We know what his ceiling is and what he's capable of. A potential first or second round MLB draft pick here in a few months, but he's really struggled his last 4 or 5 starts and had a shortest outing of the season this past weekend in a game Liberty got roughed up against Middle Tennessee, middle of the pack team in Conference USA this season on Thursday in the first game of that weekend series to wrap up the regular season. But the Flames need to get Ben Blair back to his normal dominant self, and with him and Zayak, a fellow all-conference selection for Conference USA as starting pitchers, Liberty's got some ability to make a run this week, and it'll be interesting how head coach Bradley LaCroix kind of treats pool play as a 2 seed. It's kind of a weird format, and we don't have a lot of time to get into the depths of the format of the conference tournament, and you can go see that on AseaRed.com. We've got an article breaking it down, but basically as a 2 seed, if Liberty wins 1 game in its pool, which you only play 2 pool play games, one on Thursday and one on Friday for the Flames, if you win one of those 2, you're pretty much guaranteed as the 2 seed of being able to get into the semifinal play. So it'll be interesting how Coach LaCroix does his pitching. Do you hold on to a Blair to potentially make it to a semifinal, where it's a single elimination type event in the semis and final championship winner take all, or do you just throw your best guy on Thursday and say we got to win to keep our at-large hopes alive as well too. So I certainly think the Flames can make a run this week, but the pitching, especially Ben Blair, will have to get back to their mid-season form, prior to his kind of late season collapse.
John Manson with us here in the Fast Lane. A real comprehensive assessment for us and more is available at AseaRed.com on the baseball team's outlook for the Conference USA baseball tournament underway later this week. John, thank you for joining us in the Fast Lane. We didn't even get a chance to get to track and field and other sports at Liberty, not to mention the great video piece you had on the predictability or lack thereof for the football season, win totals and outlook. We will table that for another time, but we will tease our listeners to go ahead and check out your initial thoughts at A Sea of Red on Twitter, the YouTube page, and AseaofRed.com.
Thanks so much for having me on, Ed. Talk to you later.
Our pleasure. John Manson with us here in the Fast Lane to wrap things up today. We're off tomorrow from Virginia Tech baseball, so we're back Thursday, 5 to 6 p.m. on the VTRN Sports app and 93.3 FM. Now to Freddie and Harry in progress. In about an hour or so, we will take you a little over an hour to the Knicks versus the Cavaliers in the first round of the first game of the Eastern Conference Final. Cavaliers at Knicks, still to come. VTRN Sports app, 93.3 FM. Now, Freddie and Harry